Let's see, Air New Zealand. Friendly crew, good food, fantastic wine. What's not to love? Well, there is one thing. I recently flew Air New Zealand's 787 Dreamliner from Shanghai to Auckland as part of an ANA Around the World ticket. Air New Zealand is very stingy with award space, and it was a minor miracle I was able to book it at all. Video explaining how is linked above. I took the MacLeod to the airport, which was incredibly smooth, except when passing the other train. Air New Zealand doesn't have their own lounge, but rather uses the Air China lounge. Unfortunately, lounges in Shanghai really aren't that great. There are 2 stories of the lounge with plentiful seating. There was a fully stocked bar, but no one tending it. There was a full buffet of food, but I think I'll save my appetite. Wi-Fi was available, but very slow, and power outlets were in the lamps rather than near the seats, which was rather inconvenient. The seats near the staff area also reeked of cigarette smoke. The only things of note are the business center and the nap rooms. I next thought I'd try my luck at one of the first class lounges that are accessible with Priority Pass. On the way I passed the SAS flight to Copenhagen. I've previously reviewed their business class, and fortunately today it wasn't LNRKP. There was also a Lufthansa 747 bound for Frankfurt. The first class lounge was also rather Spartan, with similarly appealing food options. There was a nice view of the terminal and tarmac though. Finally, it was time to board and we headed down the jet bridge, though I had to stop recording as 2 Chinese officials were inspecting everyone boarding the aircraft. Air New Zealand's business class seats are very weird. On the 787, they are laid out in a 1-1-1 configuration. All the window seats face inwards, while the middle seats face towards the right windows. For couples, there really isn't an easy answer, though I'd suggest seats directly in front of each other, as you'll be quite close. The seats on the left side of the plane are the most private, as only the people behind you can see you. Seat 6A is your winner. On the right side of the plane, there's no privacy for anybody. I found the seats to be quite narrow and claustrophobic. For every neat innovation, there's an odd design choice. There's a little cocktail table, but it's difficult to turn around to use it. There's a great big tray, but in order to access it, you first push a button, which opens a hatch, which you then pull the table up out of, then over, then slide into place. The tray does allow you to get up during a meal service though, which is a plus. The foot ottoman doubles as a seat for a traveling companion with its own seatbelt, but it's awkward and not particularly comfortable. The 787 has large, beautiful dimming windows, but you can't get to them or even comfortably look out the window given the angle of the seats. I also noted the seat was filthy, with dirt and crumbs in the TV well and behind the seat. The latter location is important, as that's where my head goes when sleeping. Behind business class is a small premium economy cabin, which look quite comfortable in a 2-3-2 layout and includes leg rests. However, there are all sorts of crazy creatures back there. While on the ground, the incredibly friendly crew distributed drinks and took our complete drink and meal orders. The amenity kit came in a cute pink bag and included all the essentials, as well as a pen. Thank you! I really found the crew to be incredibly charming and friendly. One of, if not the best I've ever seen. Maybe they really were that good. Maybe it's the Kiwi accents.
Prepare for takeoff. You must now stow your tray table and footrest. Please check children's fingers and toes are well clear of any moving parts.
I tried to film our takeoff as best I could, though my arm was nearly torn out of its socket. The gentleman across from me saw me filming and asked if I was a travel blogger. He was an Air New Zealand flight attendant who typically works domestic routes on an AR-72. He offered travel tips and talked about how important wine education was in flight attendant training. They even supposedly visit the vineyards. He was incredibly friendly and fiercely proud both of the country and the airline. Speaking of wine, Air New Zealand not only has a regular stable, but a rotating list of special wines. On this flight, there were 3 Sauvignon Blancs, and I had one which was excellent. For starters, there was a choice of salmon or chicken, and the salmon was very flavorful. The garlic bread was soft, but very tasty. For mains, there was beef, fish, and chicken, and I went for the Moroccan beef. It was slightly tough, but the sauces and spices were excellent, and it was soft enough to be easily cut with an airplane knife. The chickpea salad had the exact same flavors as the steak, but I'm not sure if that's for consistency or a detriment. The asparagus was overcooked and had no snap, though I can imagine how hard it is to get right. To complement the steak, I switched to a full-bodied Pinot Noir, which was also excellent. For dessert, I had a lychee cheesecake. The flavor was mild, but it was good. I was offered some dessert wine and inquired what type it was. "I don't know, it's the dessert wine," was the reply. So much for the wine training. The entertainment system had a large movie and TV library, including both series of Westworld and all Harry Potter movies, and classics like Home Alone. There was also a large collection of movies and TV from New Zealand. I was surprised to see an offline version of TripAdvisor, which is a really neat feature to plan for when you land. Finally, there were road safety videos for drivers not used to driving on the left. Soon, all the windows were dimmed and folks prepared for bed. There were 3 flight attendants for only 18 passengers, so service was incredibly proactive. The purser offered to put the seat into bed mode. And yes, I said mode, not recline. The Air New Zealand seat folds down, and the back of the seat has a second seatbelt. The mattress pad was actually substantial, and all the additional space behind the seat was available for sleeping. Despite the narrowness of the seat, it was one of the most spacious sleeping positions I've had on a plane. The TV is on an articulating arm, and I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp before bed. I awoke to warming cabin lights, and in my groggy haze, I was offered an apricot smoothie. By God, it was exactly what I needed, even though I didn't know it at the time. The purser then proceeded to turn my bed back into a seat. Breakfast was a full affair, with fruit, choice of cereal, choice of bread, and various hot options. These were an omelette, Chinese pork, and crepes. I went with the crepes, which were alright but incredibly sweet, and the croissant was served warm, though it wasn't that great. I really appreciate that you could have as much or as little breakfast as you'd like, rather than just a fixed tray. Some folks don't want a huge breakfast. Shortly after breakfast, the captain announced our descent into Auckland.
We are touching down at a local time of 6:40. It is on time, and the time in New Zealand right now is 20 minutes past 6. On behalf of Air New Zealand and the Star Alliance, hope you enjoyed your flight. Hope you got some rest on Air New Zealand 787 Dreamliner.
And we touched down. So, Air New Zealand business class is odd. For every positive of the seat, there are 2 negatives. There's a reason why herringbone seats went out of fashion. I know Air New Zealand is working on new seats, but this is what we have for now. However, as much as the seat disappointed, the crew and service more than made up for. They really were delightful, and the food and drink was pretty good, all things considered. There isn't much competition from the United States to New Zealand. United flies a real Polaris 787, and American business class seats are good, but the service is lacking. There's now a direct Chicago-Auckland flight on Air New Zealand, which would be my preferred means of getting there. However, who am I kidding? It's not like Air New Zealand is going to release award space anyway. What are your thoughts about Air New Zealand? Could you deal with the feet for 15 hours? If you like this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.